It's not every day you get a new car delivered to you. And it's certainly not every day where that new car is this. The Lamborghini Huracan LP610-4. 602 raging horses, 413 pound-feet of torque, all-wheel drive, and a lightning-fast dual-clutch gearbox. But this isn't for me. This is for my buddy John Dong. We tested his Audi V10 R8 a few months ago on the channel, but now he's got an even fancier V10 R8. Luckily, I get to drive it. There's just something about it. I don't know. It's calling out to me.
I feel especially connected to this car. Probably because I was married to a Gallardo for almost 2 years. And as you may know, this car is the successor to the Gallardo. It's got all-wheel drive, it's built on the same mid-engine 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10 architecture, and it's also the entry-level offering from Lamborghini. But entry-level is a pretty misleading word because this car brand new cost $250,000, which is 75 grand more than the Gallardo used to cost 10 years ago. So I guess the question for me is this 75 grand more car? Let's find out.
It's really quite difficult to put into words just how good the steering and handling is, especially considering it weighs 3,400 pounds, which is considered light by today's sports car standards. Calling it sharp would be an understatement. It is leaps and bounds more responsive than my C7 Z06, even in track mode, which is a complete joke by the way. Anyway, put the car into Corsa mode, turn the steering wheel, and it doesn't feel like you're moving the car. It feels like you're moving the earth and putting the car where you want it to be. There's a hint of understeer at the limit, but it's pretty easily negotiable. You normally don't associate this kind of precision and feedback with all-wheel drive cars. I don't think I've driven anything quite as brilliant as this. Yet. Anyway, enough of me babbling. Let's see how fast this thing is in a straight line. We'll start in Corsa mode, which is full manual with the paddles, and then we'll do Sport Auto and see which one is faster.
So if you've already seen the episode where we raced the Huracan against the Z06, you might have an idea of where it'll end up on our fast lists. But before we begin, I do want to make it clear that shifting the car automatically or letting it shift by itself is faster than shifting it manually. I did get pretty close by manually shifting it in Corsa mode, but I was still about 1/10 of a second slower. Let's start with the 40-100. We know the Huracan's detuned cousin, the R8 V10 with 532 brake horsepower, ran a 5.03. When you slap on a VF tune, you get about the same power as a V10 Plus at around 600 to 610, and that runs 4.94. This sounds about right because the 602 horsepower Huracan ran a 4.95. A hair slower, but we're talking about hundredths of a second here, so that's pretty negligible. So how about a more reasonable metric for cars of this power level, the 60 to 130? This is where the Lambo can really stretch its legs out a little bit. Let's take a look. For reference, this is what my old 6-speed Gallardo ran, a modest 9.92. And here's the base R8 V10, both stock and tuned. The Huracan did it in 7.91, almost a full 2 seconds faster than its predecessor, and a good second faster than its cheaper cousin. Not bad considering they're essentially using the same power plant. That dual clutch gearbox must really be making the difference. Also, the limiter is slightly higher than the advertised 8,500 RPM. In Sport Auto mode, I found the car to shift just under 9,000 on the dash. And before we go around shouting about how other people have run a faster time on a Huracan, keep in mind that our acceleration tests are DA corrected to sea level and are verified to under 0.5% of a slope. Drag allows a 1% tolerance and drag times has a 3% tolerance. And in my experience, every percent of a grade could be worth up to a few tenths of a second. So throwing numbers out there without any sort of standardization is pretty useless. Let's get back to the car.
Back in its prime, the Gallardo set the bar pretty high for the entry-level supercar. I think the same can be said here. There are few cars in this price range that sound as heavenly, accelerate as quick, are as reliable as an Audi, and have the sheer wow factor of the Lamborghini Huracan. Even if it doesn't set the fastest lap times, it still makes you feel like you're a race car driver. The handling and steering is simply sublime. And although the backup camera sucks and the digital dashboard lacks customizability, the interior is still an inspiring place to be, and the paddles are on point, easily the best so far. For an entry-level supercar, it definitely sets the gold standard. Plus, it's somewhat affordable if you want to use your house as collateral. Because let's be real here, you can sleep in your car but you can't race in your house.
If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to watch some of my other stuff. I'm dedicated to producing cinematic car content and doing real-world performance tests for all sorts of fast cars. So if that's your jam, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon for new episodes every Thursday. Thanks for watching.